So why a national monument at Santa Susana? Isn't Santa Susana Field Laboratory contaminated? Those are questions, real and legitimate questions that have been asked and need to be answered. The reality is we must have cleanup first because we need to make sure that it's safe for the future. Here's why. Here's why it matters to try to get this done now. Saving Santa Susana as a national monument provides a mechanism to protect Native American sacred sites such as the Burro Flats Painted Cave. Okay, so there's many more than just Burro Flats. That's just the most famous. But these are thousands of years old. They have been protected because of the fences, because of the security of a nuclear test site. Okay, so now when these fences come down, we will not have those assurances. The rocket test stands where our space history began, and that's Alpha, Bravo, and Coca are the ones that remain. Those will be lost otherwise. So this is critical to the idea of protecting and honoring our nation's space history. It's also a critical wildlife corridor that connects the Santa Monica Mountains to the Simi Hills. And this is vital for our very few and numbered remaining mountain lions that are in the area. You know, they need 50 square miles of roaming space in order to be able to thrive. So when we think about this space and this important corridor, it is more critical than ever. And it also provides the mechanism to protect rare and endangered species, and that we do through the exceptions of the agreement. And then finally, and most importantly in my view, is that it prevents future housing from ever being possible up at the site, because if it's a national monument, it's a national monument forever. So why now? Seriously, why now when the cleanup isn't done? We've been waiting this long, so why now? And the truth is, it's all about the timing. We have 86 days now before the election, before the lame duck session where this president has the ability to designate Santa Susana as a national monument. And we have 86 days then to convince President Obama that this makes sense, because this is a solution that actually solves problems, solves challenges that for decades now we've had trouble negotiating and navigating these requirements. Now let's also remember, this is very, very important. Presidential proclamation to designate a national monument can include language about implementation of the cleanup for a safe future. So we can ensure that it is designated now, but it isn't opened until it is cleaned up. So that is certainly possible, and the reason that timing is so critical, the deadline for cleanup is 2017, that's next year. Without something to prevent demolition of the historic test stands, the deadline will require their removal. We've already received a deferral from NASA's Charles Bolden. He has agreed to hold off demolition of the test stands as long as it doesn't stand in the way of the cleanup, in order for this to be explored, to explore designation as a national monument. So that is wonderful, but that was a year ago, July 9th. So we are running out of time. And if they are not designated as something that is very important, then they will be removed. It's plain and simple. So that's the timing that we have, and that's the timing we need to remember, because we are running out of it. We have 86 days. And that's not a lot of time to get to a national monument at Santa Susana. Let's remember, Native American sacred sites such as the Burro Flats will be saved and protected and honored so that we can educate about them. Native American education, that part of our history is very poorly documented in our schools, and that's very important to get that education right. The rocket test stands where our space history began. Okay, this is really the birth of our technology in a lot of ways. That will be lost forever. The critical wildlife corridor that connects the Santa Monica Mountains to the Simi Hills, which is vital to those mountain lions, will also be vulnerable. Rare and endangered species will be more difficult to protect if we don't have a future end use that has some resources to ensure that protection. And then finally, and most importantly, it will provide the prevention of future housing from ever being developed at Santa Susana Field Laboratory. And no matter how hard we work at getting this right, the investigation is complete. It's probably the most comprehensive RAD investigation ever done by EPA. But still, do we know enough, especially with the groundwater impacts, to be able to feel good about putting houses up there ever? So this ensures that this will never happen long after we are gone. And I think that's how we need to think about something like this. We need to think about the future, about the people that come after us. So this is truly a pay it forward situation. So let's make sure that we prevent future housing, and let's make sure we do it now, because we are running out of time. Again, these challenges are solved by balancing the cleanup and protection of the surrounding natural open space. So this also, we need to remember that if we clean up to suburban residential standards, we are likely to get suburban residents up there, and this is not something that I certainly feel good about. I believe it's more important to protect and honor history, protect and honor the ancient native cave paintings, and protect and honor America's race to space and the birth of technology. So we can clean up by implementing the AOCs, where the definition of artifacts is clearly defined in Congress, and then we can do a better job of getting a smart cleanup when we have a known end use for the site. And that is, I think, one of the most important issues here. Smart implementation, because everything else is just talk. Thanks for listening.